What is going on, everybody, and welcome to Roots and Rebirth. We usually uh, broadcast on Fridays at 7:30 Eastern Time. And I am delighted to have you guys here with us today. It's a very important conversation related to the women. And I think this is a pivotal moment for us just as a collective. Now, this is not a feminist conversation. This is just about the female experience overall. Hello, Miss Teresa. Good to have you. Pleasure to have you with us today. Um, Oftentimes, when it comes to being a woman, we are constantly held to a specific standard. And that may look like whether or not we're soft enough, whether or not we're um, meek enough, whether or not we're uh, loud or provocative and that's too much, or we're, timid or caring and nurturing enough. There's always some type of measuring stick. And so, oftentimes, when it comes to a woman's experience in the world, you may see it a lot in the comments, actually, where someone may say, well, what did she do to accumulate this type of attention or to get the end result that she got? Basically, to suggest that in some shape, form, or fashion, she may have brought a particular outcome upon herself. So, we're going to talk about the woman's experience overall. Now, there are things that we know as women when it comes to etiquette, when it comes to grace, when it comes to how we conduct ourselves. I'm going to go over a couple of those. Number one, um, keep your knees together. Be aware of how short your skirt is. What's going on, Diana? Hello, Patricia. Um, Less is more. So don't put on too much makeup. It may give the impression. Don't have your girls sitting up high up on your neck. It may give the impression. Don't wear clothing that may be too tight or too transparent. It may create the impression. We prefer women to dress more modestly as opposed to provocatively because it may give the impression, right? So, women are typically taught these guidelines from being a young girl. I remember when I was younger, my mother told me about red lipstick. Okay. Don't wear red lipstick. Okay. This is the color of a fast woman. This is the color of a desiring woman. This is a woman in her lust. You want to be subtle tones, right? Less is more. Greetings, Renee. I was taught if you put on a skirt, bend over and touch your toes. If you feel some air back there, your skirt is too short, take it off. You know what I mean? How to cross your legs, how to show up at a restaurant, how to sit at the table. All of these things are a demonstration of whether or not you have class or you're fast, right? But let's be honest as women, even though we have these lessons, even though we some of us may utilize these lessons on a regular basis, does it hinder you from your experience with men? Now, it may dial it back a little bit, but let's be honest. Can you honestly say if you don't wear red lipstick, men won't shoot their shot? Can you honestly say, yes, there we go, Brittany, don't wear red nail polish? Remember, once upon a time, when you put on a skirt, you're supposed to have on stockings. You're supposed to wear a slip under your dress. I remember when I was younger, if you had your little girl walking around and she did not have a slip on under her dress, if she did not have on stockings under her dress, oh, you was teaching that girl to be fast out here. You see what I'm saying? That was not ladylike. You see what I'm saying? But While we have these things set in place as women, we're taught this from our adolescence, right? Let's be honest. On your most modest day, do men still shoot their shot? Do they say provocative things, inappropriate things? Do they undress you with their eyes? These things still occur in everyday life. And so when you introduce those teachings to the modern women of today, they're like, don't tell me what to wear. Don't tell me what to do. And this looks like rebellion. This looks like masculinity. I'm here to introduce a different perspective. While there are masculine women, while there are women with a different perspective, perhaps it's women understanding that after all those modifications, after all the shrinking, the experience is the same. What's going on, Sabina? Listen, I have been conservative my entire life. My mother raised me conservative. At the end of every sentence, it was, don't do that because that's not ladylike. I was, she was on top of me like white on rice. You hear me? That is not ladylike. This is not ladylike. Get your elbows off the table. This is the right way to, to fold your legs. Like, I know regular etiquette requirements that most people don't even get taught. My mother didn't play. Okay. And yet and still, I can say I've had inappropriate messages in my inbox and had to block somebody for bringing the wrong energy to me, even though I don't showcase myself in a particular way. Let's talk about being a mom. There's controversy around feeding your children, breastfeeding your children out in public because people are not supposed to see that. It's inappropriate, but this is a motherly action. You see what I'm saying? So you can be, what's going on, Terry Doe? Um, you can be casually dressed. You can have no makeup on. You can have your hair tied back. You can have flat shoes on. You're not wearing stilettos. You can have your natural nails. And you will still be eye gawked. You will still get the whistles. You will still get the damn. You will still get all of that. So, from a man's perspective, there's something we could do to prevent it. And I wanted to have that conversation because while we do have things set in place, the truth is, if a man lacks discipline, if he doesn't know the boundaries and he doesn't know he's disrespectful, if he doesn't know what makes women uncomfortable or he does not care, he's going to conduct himself however he sees fit, regardless of how you're dressed, regardless of if you speak back, regardless of if you wore red lipstick, regardless of anything. And so I think modern world is adapting to that and saying, you know what? I've done the slips. I've done the zero makeup. I've done the, not smiling and speaking to every man that speak to me. I've done that and I still get treated like a piece of meat. So if I'm going to have a specific experience, I would like to have the experience on my terms. And so it occurred to me that when we have these conversations about how women should conduct themselves in public, you should wear this, you shouldn't wear this, you should talk like this, you shouldn't talk like this. When a man speaks to you, you should do this, you shouldn't do that. I hear you. I understand the thought that goes into that. But here's a thought. What would women look like if they shrunk every time how they showed up in a room attracted the advances of a man? If she was casually dressed, hair tied up in a bun, modest makeup, and yet and still, this man will not stop offering to buy her drinks. She's declined gracefully. No, thank you. I appreciate it, but no, thank you. Should she go home and say, I shouldn't go out? Because a woman's real life experience is every time she goes out, every time. It doesn't matter who she's with. She could be with grandma, she could be with hubby, she could be with her kids, she could be walking right next to a pastor. Somebody is going to eyeball her. Somebody is going to whistle. Someone is going to look her up and down distastefully. And women that really live in this world have gone through this since their adolescence, since they started to develop, since they became mature, and some of us even before then. When I was younger, I've always been petite. When I was in grade school, I had grown women calling me fast because their husbands were looking at me. I wasn't even into boys at the time. To me, the idea of having a boyfriend was disgusting. And yet I had grown women over sexualizing me and making it my fault that her man, her husband, has a wandering eye. Even at that age, before I knew about boys, before I was trying to get attention, that was the accusation. So we learn that there's really nothing you can do because a little girl could have no curves. She's not even a cup yet. And somebody is still looking. Not only is someone still looking, but his lady is blaming you for what he looking at because you did this. Maybe if you weren't so happy, maybe if you weren't so polite, maybe if you weren't so, you see what I'm saying? It starts from childhood. Our own parents, our own grandparents, our own aunties give us that energy. Who you trying to see? Who you trying to be seen? What you doing over there? You always trying to be seen, projecting those things onto you like little girls cannot just want to play outside just like little boys. Her rushing to go outside means it's a boy, means there's some attention to get. And so, where is the line when you've talked to her about modesty, talked to her about being natural, talked to her about being graceful, not responding to every man that speaks to you, not receiving things from every man that wants to give things to you? When do we stop sculpting at her and say, y'all need to be disciplined? Y'all need to have respect. Y'all need to fall back. No means no. Do not approach. When she says no, thank you, it means no, thank you. In real life, a woman could say, I appreciate you, sweetheart, because I understand that it's difficult to go out of your way and start a conversation out of thin air. But I'm not interested, love. You'll get cussed out immediately. Oh, you think you better than me? Women are supposed to have manners and not, no, you not trying to talk to me. Get out of my face. They're not supposed to get like that, right? They're supposed to handle people nicely. Nice doesn't get accepted as no. It means keep trying, go a little harder, wait a little while, play the friendship card, try the back door, try the window. It's when a woman gets disrespectful and says, you know what, leave me alone, start talking loud, threatening to scream. Now you understand no. This is the harsh reality of a woman's world. And let's not go into women that just have a shape off the rip. If you're busty, you want everybody to see your boobs. You always trying to put them up because you want them to be seen. You got a little apple bottom, you want somebody looking. You want somebody looking. You know what I mean? How many women you've had a man come up to you and speak and say, hi, how you doing? You say, fine, how are you? and your man say, you being too nice, you cheeky kiki and cheek. Like, no, that's a manners response. Good mannerisms, politeness is also a characteristic of a good woman, but not when she's talking to a man. That's flirtation. You can't even be polite. So, as a woman, I think that today modern women are getting to a place to where they're like, if I'm going to have this reality anyway, if you're going to tell me it's my fault anyway, I might as well live the way I want to live. And it sounds like a lack of respect for the man, a lack of respect for the protection, a lack of respect for the experience. But the truth is, by the time a young lady is 20 years old, she has already become desensitized to how often she gets looked at and whistled at. I promise you, you can say, that man was just whistling at you. She ain't even hear it because you learn to turn it off. You learn to tune it out. Otherwise, you cannot function. Granted, all women don't have this experience, but if you are considered some type of attractive or somebody sought after or whatever, you can wear a garbage bag. The experience will be the same. You could wear a hijab. The experience will be the same. You could not talk to anybody. The experience will be the same. The thought is, don't wear stuff that fits your body. Don't move in this way. Don't bend in this way. Don't talk in this way. Don't smile at them. Child, you can stand in one position with your arms folded and look straight ahead. Somebody gonna have something to say. Someone will find you appealing enough to speak aloud, directly to you, or otherwise. A woman in most cases, a woman in most cases does not need to try to be seen. I really need men to understand that. The only women who try to be seen are women that are starved for attention. Women that have been getting it since they were a baby, since they were an adolescent, not a literal baby, but an adolescent, they're not trying to get attention. They're tired of it. Hearing you're beautiful, you got a nice butt, this and that and the other. They're like, when are you going to come with something original? The only people that seek attention are people who are starved for attention. They are fighting for another woman's experience. Women that have been getting it since they were young are tired of it. So much so they tune it out. They're not seeking it out. If women were to adhere to the experiences that they have all the time, we would wear tents. We would wear tents. We would wear caps. We would tuck our hair away. We wouldn't wear our feet out. If we really adhere to how we are treated like pieces of meat instead of an actual person, we would not even come outside. The only reason why a woman can walk down the street and wear her heels and hold her head up high and be confident in herself is because she's not listening to all that foolery. Because somebody's always trying to over sexualize her. Somebody is always trying to tell her what she didn't have to do with her clothes. You know what I mean? If you got full lips, you eat the wrong way and they're going to swear you trying to seduce somebody. Bruh, I just got big lips, okay? There's nothing else I could do with my lips. If I'm eating something, I have to open my mouth and close my mouth like everybody else. Ain't nobody doing nothing extra to be seen. If you got big lips, they assume everything you doing is to seduce somebody. You can't eat a damn thing. You can't drink from a straw without somebody looking at you crazy. I can't sip my little drink without you looking at my lips. Ladies know what that is like. You go on a date night, you can't even talk without they focus being right here. Really? Look at me here. Look at me here. You show a little bit of cleavage. He down your shirt at the table. Look at me here. And if you have a back on you, honey, ain't no amount of hiding it. It don't matter if you wear a dress, you wear a skirt, you wear pants, it's visible. You hear me? There is no way to behave like it ain't back there. I found myself dressing ugly to me being seen. I know that's right. Like, and I've had those moments too, wearing oversized shirts and a bunch of other stuff. And it's like, do you understand what a woman would have to do to be less appeal? I mean, like to not be noticed. And even then, the woman that is the tomboy will get noticed. We have rules. We wear leggings and then wear a shirt long enough to cover our backside. You think that stops anybody from seeing that you got something back there? No. We got to watch how we eat. We got to watch how we drink out of straw. We got to watch how we looking while we eating, while we drinking through a straw. Because you make eye contact with the wrong one. You trying to give them an impression. You can't just be looking at the scenery. You expressing you want somebody now. And men don't know that experience. Women understand that experience. And that's why you hear women getting upset now saying, you're just trying to control me. You're just trying to. Women understand the reality is not going to change. The idea is just that it's an idea. Yes, conservative behavior does help a little bit. Less makeup does help a little bit. But the truth of it is, if you walk up to that conservative woman with zero makeup on and ask her, has she had somebody rude talking to her about her shape? She'll tell you yes. It's happened. Maybe less frequently, but it happens. And trust me, less frequently is not nearly enough because that still means, if not daily, every other day. We're not talking about weekly. We're not talking about bi-weekly. We're not talking about monthly. We're talking about multiple times a day versus a day to every other day. A woman would not be confident in this life, wouldn't be confident in this world if every time someone found something to be attracted to, found something perverted to do in her vicinity, to shrink herself. Oh, I shouldn't do this because he was attracted to that, or I shouldn't do this because he might take it this way. If we were to recensor ourselves according to our perception, as opposed to who we are as individuals, we would be invisible. And the sad part is, the people that are dealing with this to the capacity that I know that they're dealing with this, some women will honestly opt to be invisible because it's that damn annoying. It's that consistent. And some of you women know it don't even matter if you with your man. They will holler when you with your man. It's that tough. You having a man at your side is supposed to be a deterrent. For some of you women out there, for some of you beautiful ladies out there, you will get hollered at and you're with your man. They care not. So the idea that there's something a woman can do to prevent this type of experience shows that men don't know other men as well as they may think that they do. Women have been followed home from their places of employment, from wherever, just to shoot their shot. A man will offer to buy you a drink and you will decline, and he will keep asking and keep asking and keep asking, and send his boy to ask and send his other friend to ask, and practically harass you until you accept the advances. And you just minding your own business and you declined. A man will tell other men that he's talking to you and he's never even introduced himself to you. But there's a rumor going around that y'all talk. And the perception is, if you would have been more conservative, if you wouldn't have looked so pretty, if you wouldn't have been so nice, if you wouldn't have been so polite, if you wouldn't have, this, and this, and this, and this would not be your experience. I hate to break it to you, but it likely would have been the same. It likely would have been the same. Why? Because there are men in this world that see women as objects and not people. There is an experience that says that your reality is just what it is within itself. I have 30 minutes. And unfortunately, trying to reframe that is it's just not the reality as much as we would like to claim that it is. And for women, the idea of that, I'm doing well, Angela, thank you. Sorry. But the idea of that can be offensive. Whereas, again, we know on the baseline of what we're discussing, it's very true. These things are for our well being, these are for to sustain our character, to sustain our value, to maintain our safety and our morals and values, and how we convey what it means to be graceful, what it means to be poised, what it means to be a woman. We get it in that context. Absolutely. There's nothing to argue or push back there. But simultaneously and running parallel to that conversation is, how far are you going to push to shrink her before you realize you have no control over her experience as much as you think you do? I'm glad when you come back on every day, we can have our group again. I'm working on it, Angela. It's so much going on. And every time I get a set schedule, something violates the schedule, and then I have to go back to the drawing board. So it's been a little stressful. There's so much going on at home, and my son is hitting his milestones and stuff. So it's just been really hectic. So I've been trying to stay on with at least being on here every Friday, because that's the commitment that I made to start. So I'm like, when I start breaking my promises to myself, I'm gonna really start getting disappointed in my experience. But as far as women are concerned, I understand the intention. I even understand a man's perspective to say this will be your experience if you do X, Y, and Z. I can understand why a man would say, I would prefer that you not dress so provocatively. I can understand the perspective that he comes from when he says that. What bothers me is when we go so far as to now we're trying to infiltrate things that are natural to us as far as our nurture is concerned, as far as our womanhood. You know what I mean? Like, if you have a woman that is wearing a dress down to her knees and she has closed toe shoes, her cleavage is not out, and yet she's being checked out by men, it's unfair to project that there's something that she could have done to prevent that. If she had on a short skirt, okay. If she had her breasts all out, okay. I can understand why that conversation may need to be had. But and I'm not into this, but there are mothers who want to breastfeed their children in the moment if that's what they want to do. And that shouldn't be something to shame. There are women that are tending to their children, let's say, and they shouldn't have to be cognizant of watchful eyes when they bend down to get their child. They should be able to be in their nurture. They should be able to be a full blown motherly figure in that moment without saying, you know, am I looking like I'm trying to get attention? Am I putting myself in a position to look like I'm trying to be seen? You know what I mean? You can conduct business and be dressed in a way and be confident without looking like you're trying to get someone to notice you. And there is a difference between these two actions. When you have women out here that have excessive skin out, their outfit is completely see-through, understand that's what it looks like to get attention. Don't get me wrong, you may have somebody try to convince you that that's not what that is, but I don't care. And that's what that is, okay? You don't take someone in a sundress outside sitting on a swing and say, dang, you got all that hanging off the other side of the swing, men looking at you. You see what I'm saying? And it's like there's a difference between that woman and a woman sitting on a swing in a whole short skirt and her bare behind is sitting on a swing. Yes, you need to get her off that swing and pull her to the side and let her know that there's a such thing as being distasteful. Yes, that talk needs to be had. And the question becomes, well, then what do you teach your little girl? What do you teach your little girl? I teach my daughter to pull her dress down and make sure she wears shorts underneath when she plays. I will always make sure to be mindful and tell her to pull her shirt down, pull her skirt down to make sure she's not revealing herself in an inappropriate way. But I will also make sure that my daughter knows that less is more and that the way you present yourself does attract a certain level of attention. But after I teach you everything that I have to teach you about not overly lingering in men's faces and behaving like you want attention from them that you don't want and how you dress, after we have those conversations, I will also make sure that she knows that there will be moments when you did nothing wrong. There will be moments where you are still pursued in an inappropriate way, talked about in an inappropriate way, grabbed in an inappropriate way, and it had nothing to do with what you had on. It had nothing to do with how you spoke. It had nothing to do with how you presented yourself. It was the fact that the person that decided to violate your space had a lack of boundaries, had a lack of discipline, had a lack of respect, and thought you were a piece of property and not a person. And I feel like it's unfair to teach daughters that what they need to know is as long as somebody's projecting that foolishness onto you, you have more shrinking to do. Because once you have taught her to wear her slip or wear her stockings and don't put on red lipstick and don't have her girls sitting up high on her neck, she don't need to show all her cleavage, and teach her modesty and being conservative and being polite and teaching her etiquette, how to cross her legs slanted with her ankles crossed. Don't cross your legs at the knees. Don't put your elbows on the table. Say yes, ma'am, and please and thank you. And all after you've taught her all of that, it's necessary that you teach her. She still will have these experiences and she's done nothing to receive that. Because if you keep on chipping away at her and teaching her that if these advances are finding you, you're doing something wrong, she will become a shadow of her former self. And if you're teaching young men that who grow into husbands that think that, they will always look at their wife as if they are pursuing other men, when in reality, men gravitate to someone that they're attracted to, whether they're looking for the attention or otherwise. And only women can verify that. Men will always argue that experience because they've never lived there. They've never lived there. I've been modest all my life. I promise you, I've been followed home. I've had somebody get in my car without permission at a gas station. I've been in a store and had people behind me talking about me in an extremely inappropriate fashion. I've been followed around a store and had all my clothes on the phone talking with my person. Nobody cares. You know what I mean? You're polite. No, thank you. I don't want your number. I don't want help with my bags. I don't want you to, you know what I mean? I don't want assistance. No, I don't want you to help me put air in my tire. No, I don't want you to carry anything. It's all right. I got it. You can deflect, you can push it to the side, you can be polite, you can be nice, you can be covered. If a person wants you, they want you. If a person want to ignore your no, they will ignore your no. If a person think they can change your mind, they will try to change your mind. And that is something I would teach my little girl, is that after I have taught you all the baseline etiquette and I will drill it into your mind so you understand, I also will drill it home that sometimes, baby girl, this is not because you were provocative. It's just because he liked you. It's just because he wanted you. It's just because some men are over sexualized and that there is no other way they can look at a woman other than in that context. You have to keep in mind that in this day and age, you got women booty shaking and twerking while their son is watching. They're not learning the same things our little girls are learning. While the little girls are learning to twerk nowadays, boys are watching their mama twerk for TikTok. So they're being sexualized early. Their expectations are becoming more sexualized. Therefore, there is a classification of men that say you must have wanted it if that's the attention you got. You must have winked. You must have made eye contact. You must have smiled. You must have been polite. You must have laughed at his jokes. Those things don't imply you're liked or wanted, beloved. A person can be funny and not be attracted to you. A person can be polite and not be attracted to you. The fact that you have to talk to a woman and say, don't be polite, he may think something. Is that her problem or his problem? That he thinks politeness is attraction. No, she was raised right. That doesn't mean she likes you. That means you spoke and she didn't want to be rude. But now not wanting to be rude means you accepted his advances. If you walk up to her and ask her the time and she answered a question, you shouldn't have answered the question because that's why he thinking something. She asked what time it was. She's being a upstanding citizen, a part of this society, a part of this community. It was a harmless question. While you know there are people who will initiate stupid conversations to open the door for conversation, that doesn't mean be rude to everybody that asks you what time it is. Because if you turn her into that, anybody, but then it's like at the same time, when somebody come up and say, hey, how you doing? Y'all be mad at that female. What do you want? You want the polite woman to tell you what time it is, or you want the one that's going to curve you and shut you down and be rude as hell doing it to make sure there's no confusion? Because that's where women are toting the line. There are plenty of polite women in this world that don't want to shoot you down and embarrass you and be loud, but you have to be able to take the word no. Absolutely. You can be a normal person and somebody can take it out of context. Absolutely. I'll be on time next Friday. See you then. I gotta go. All right, Angela. Sheree, right. It doesn't make any sense. And unfortunately, today, women are saying, you're not going to tell me how to dress. You can't tell me where I could go, who I could speak to, this and that and the other, because it's getting to the point to where it's, and I don't want to be misconstrued, because like I said, I understand why these teachings are in place and I live by most of them. You see what I'm saying? But I also understand that eventually we have to look at it for what it is, that there are people in this world that lack discipline, that are perverted. They don't know how to respect the boundaries of other people. Like I said earlier, you can have big, full, voluptuous lips and you can't eat without this joker all in your mouth. How do you move your lips in a different way to where they don't look seductive? They're on your face. You cannot take them off and put them in your purse. Don't sip from a straw. Don't eat any strawberries. Don't eat from a spoon, because it looks like you're trying to simulate something. Or she could just be freaking eating. Are you serious? And that's how women are expected to think. Don't sip out a straw, girl, because he gonna think something. Don't fix your lipstick at the table, because he gonna think something. Don't don't slurp, because he gonna think something. And it's like, is it her really with the problem, or is it the fact that some of these men need to be checked about their lack of discipline and why they're thinking about sex so much that can't nobody eat without thinking somebody is trying to come on to them? Nobody can behave in their everyday life without thinking somebody's trying to come on to them. It's a valuable lesson to teach our girls to respect themselves and have etiquette and so on and so forth. It's a necessity. So I understand why these lessons are in place. But when you get to the point to where you've corrected the makeup, you've corrected the attire, you've talked to her about how she should and shouldn't speak, and that was toting the line, because now she has to decide between being polite versus being rude. Women don't necessarily want to be confrontational, but if you're going to keep accusing her of flirting every time she's politely letting somebody know she's not interested, she's going to have to be rude so it's no misunderstanding. But then you'll hear men on social media say, well, we don't want to hear women talk like that. You ain't got to treat a man like that just because you don't want to be hollered at. Make up your mind. Either you want her to let you down softly, which is the truth, that when she let you down softly, 9 out of the 10 dudes will keep on pursuing you because they figure if you're letting them down nicely, you kind of like them low key. But then if she cuss you out and talk loud and say, get out my face, leave me alone, bye. Now she doing something to you. At some point, we have to have a conversation with these men and say, look, if you hit on her and she say, no, thank you, sweetheart, keep it pushing. She shouldn't have to tell you again, and nor should you have to accuse her of being too nice, being too polite. We shouldn't have to decide between being a human being and being a jerk. It should be understood. A woman shouldn't have to decide between dressing provocative versus dressing like a nun, no shade to a nun, or wearing a hijab. The truth is, we don't live in a world where a woman can wear whatever she wants and she's going to be respected. The woman has to make the adjustment instead of these men being checked about them not having a right to a woman's body that doesn't belong to them, that's not in a commitment to them. We keep looking to the woman to continue to adjust to their perversion. And that only can go so far before you're expected for women to disappear. A woman is allowed to find herself attractive. A woman is allowed to be comfortable in her own skin. A woman is allowed to love herself enough to dress in a way that makes her feel good. Is there some um is there there should be a, a space for self-expression that can be respected and be supported without making the response to that her fault. And again, to reiterate, to make sure nobody is confused, I agree that if your man tells you that he wants you to dress a little bit more conservative because it can attract the wrong type of attention, I agree within certain circumstances and boundaries, absolutely, because this could bring an issue upon him and an issue upon her. But once she is conservatively dressed, once she is not being outrageously provocative with her makeup and her stiletto heels, and she's not hanging around in men's face doing too much, you have got to stop blaming her for the actions of grown men. If she hasn't got that stuff together, I understand. If she's still wearing short skirts and bending over in front of men, I understand. If she can't stop wearing tops that got her girls about to fall out of it, I understand the need to have that conversation. But if she's buttoned up, tucked away, she's dressed like she's supposed to, but she may have a shape that is no type of way, ain't no amount of clothes gonna hide that. At some point, your attention needs to be directed at these inappropriate individuals that don't have any respect, that don't have any discipline. Because the truth is, in this life, a woman is allowed to have a full life too. And if she's willing to respect the unfairness of society and honor it despite how uncomfortable and shrinking it may feel, asking for more is just wrong. Dressing modestly and conservatively, absolutely. Being well spoken and not keying in every man's face that come along, absolutely. Not accepting all of his presence and his advances and spending quality time for every man that asks for your attention, absolutely. Not letting every man in your house, absolutely. Knowing how to cross your legs when appropriate, not revealing yourself when you got a dress or a skirt on, absolutely. Not wearing something sheer and see-through like you want to be seen, absolutely. Those are must-have conversations. But once she has checked all of those boxes, you don't see her on social media twerking. She don't have her breasts all out. She ain't over here eating bananas and recording it and posting it. You know you don't have a woman that's seeking attention. We know what that looks like. If you got a woman that's taking selfies from the back, understand what that is, okay? If you got a woman that can't do nothing, she making her TikTok videos, and every TikTok video she got on shorts, something see-through, something revealing, understand what that is. It might be for views, but it's attention seeking. There's a difference between that woman and a woman that's walking around here fully clothed, but she's freaking gorgeous. And unfortunately, though you got one with her butt out, though you got one in her swimsuit, though you got one in high heels dancing on poles on social media, that woman and the woman that's gorgeous in a full three-piece suit, they will likely get the same type of attention. There will be more that approach the woman in the three-piece suit with some respect, but trust me, the bums is in there too. And ain't no amount of more clothes you gonna put on her to stop that. I wish, honestly, and I promise you, if you can ask women, the women that genuinely find it annoying, I'm not talking about women that want to act like it's a problem, but they're lying. But the women that actually are tired of being hollered at on a less than accurate, amount of depth level, if they could experience not being hollered at like that anymore, and actually having somebody walk up to them and say, "Hi, how you doing? Shake your hand. My name is. I just wanted to see if I could take you out sometime." Versus, "Damn, hey, put my number in your phone. You got a fat." Women would like to have the first experience over the last three, but we don't get to choose. Don't matter if you got a boyfriend, don't matter if you got a husband, don't matter if you pregnant, don't matter if you with your 3 kids. They hear it too. Don't matter if you just getting out of church. They hear it too. And we have to stop entertaining this idea that says that there is a type of woman that don't have that experience. Don't get me wrong. You may have one or two that can literally say, I've never had that happen. Two things are true. They're conservative and completely modest, and I promise you they don't be outside. Which is what it's going to come to if you honestly don't want that experience, or don't want your girl to have that experience, or you honestly think that there's something she could do to prevent it. It's like, what's the one way you can 100% prevent pregnancy? Abstinence. Being gawked at and drooled at by men is the same way. The only way to prevent that beyond a shadow of a doubt is to stay behind in the house. Period. It don't matter what you wear. Excuse me. It don't matter what you wear, how you talk, who you talk to, whether you winked or you didn't wink. The experience will be what it is. The only way you're not going to have that experience is if you stay in the house. Don't go nowhere. Order all your groceries. Stay in the house. Don't talk to nobody. Don't post no pictures. Be completely invisible. And women are just not going to exist that way, which means most women are already accustomed to this experience before they graduate high school. They know what life looks like in the skin of a woman as of graduating high school. There have been experiences projected on adolescent girls since before puberty was even a discussion. At some point, we have to entertain the conversation. Thank you, Sheree. Modesty, exactly. Hello, Brittany. At some point, we have to have a serious conversation and understand that conversation and respect the conversation that, yes, we do need to teach our children, our daughters, modesty, but we can't teach them that modesty is going to keep them from having a certain type of experience. They'll have it less, sure, but the experience is still there. Hello, Stephanie. How you doing? And that's just what it is. It's unfortunate that it's a reality of women, but and the truth is there are women that do anything for attention, but like I said, that's completely obvious. They tend to show way more skin than necessary. You could tell by how they take their pictures. Is it Cavania? That's a beautiful name. Watching from the Bahamas. Thank you. But it's a real conversation. And I think that a lot of men really have to understand this, that women, and I'm talking about, we're talking about women that are not attention deprived, because women that are attention deprived, it's completely obvious that they're looking for attention. But women, for real, don't have to do anything to get attention. All they need to do is exist. All they need to do is exist and be outside. Most women don't have to put in effort to get attention. Most women don't say, if I walk over here and I bend over, if I push up my girls, if I wear this, I'll get more compliments today. The only women that think like that are women that don't get attention. Girls that grow up being accused of being fast and being projected onto since childhood, they don't want attention. They're not contemplating what's going to get attention. They know modesty is key. They know even when they're modest, the experience is the same. They knew that long before they got out of high school. The only women that are looking for attention are women that are attention deprived. That's how you know they're attention deprived, because they wear see-through clothes, everything they got on, they breast is pushed up like it's about to fall out their outfit, they clothes is too tight. They wearing a full face of makeup to an event that it don't even we over here about the lounge. We out here in the sun. Everybody about to melt. You got a full face of makeup on. You trying to be pretty when we just kicking it. We just chilling. It's too hot out here to even want a full face of makeup on. When you putting rhinestones and all that on your nails and doing all of that, they're attention grabbers. Bright neon colors, attention grabbers. There's nothing wrong with you, but I'm saying it's to the women who don't do it, they know what it looks like. They know the difference between somebody that just got dressed today versus somebody doing a whole freaking lot. Ain't nobody picking, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? The things that women do, they ain't no reason to be walking around in 6-inch heels. Women that are trying to be practical know good and well, A, your feet about to hurt soon as your soles of your feet start sweating. B, in the long run, you're gonna have bunions and corns and your feet gonna be ugly. C, it's only a matter of time before your feet are sliding to the front of them shoes and you in a world of pain. Lastly, don't let you get no blisters. Women are trying to be comfortable, cute and comfortable. They're not trying to be sexy. They're trying to be cute and comfortable. They wear dresses that'll fit no matter what happens. If it rains, if it get a little cold, they try and be very versatile with what they got on. Women know other women when they're trying to get attention. Ain't, you know what I mean? Women that are wearing 6-inch heels on a daily basis to go absolutely nowhere. You in a grocery store wearing stilettos. Why? You ran errands like that? Why? It don't take for nobody to have babies to get realistic. Women that know better and actually don't want their feet to hurt ain't putting on no heels to go get the mail, to go to the grocery store, to go pick up their kids from daycare. They ain't doing none of that. Because they understand that it's about being practical. When you still doing stuff like that, you want to be seen. You want to feel real, past good about yourself. Women know this. So it's like you can't conflate the two. Like I said, you can scroll on social media. All them girls that when they take a selfie, their arm is crossed in front of their chest trying to push their girls up. She trying to be seen. If she taking a selfie from the back, she's trying to be seen. She needs you to see her girl. She needs you to see her butt. If she just ain't got no clothes on in general, duh, she trying to be seen. What gets me is they dress in a revealing way and then get mad at the disrespectful comments and negative attention they get from people. Oh no, I definitely, and I'm with you on that, is that they do that too. The women that dress that way act like they don't know what comes from it. But we're kind of mixing the two conversations together, but that's very true. There are a lot of women that get that kind of attention and they don't want it, but then when somebody tell her to put some clothes on, she got an attitude. So there are those, and the ones that got an attitude, when you tell them to put on clothes after you just complained about the negative attention that you're getting, she's trying to get attention. But the one that's fully clothed, she's not taking pictures from the back. She's not showing her behind off. She ain't doing this or that and the third. That woman will still get dudes being perverts in her inbox. Will still get a dude buying her drinks, trying to shove drinks down her throat. Just let me just buy you. Let me just buy you a drink. Oh, I ain't trying to do nothing to you. I just want to buy it. No means no. You don't have to be revealing to have that experience. Conservative women have that experience as well. They got to beat them off with a stick too. It's not just because you got your chest out. It's not just because you're half naked. It's because at the end of the day, there are men out there that don't have any discipline. They won't accept no. They're rude. They step over boundaries. And while there are women that do act like they want that kind of attention and then try and spaz when they get it, there are also women that dress like they have some sense and they still get that attention. So the idea that our clothing is going to put an end to all that, or how we speak, or whether we're nice, or whether we're nice or not, yes, there are some lines. I definitely feel like a woman should dress appropriately for the attention that she wants. But the truth is, once she decides how she wants to dress, men are going to do what they want to do either way. Men will still be in your inbox. You know what I mean? Like, I, as conservative as you guys know, I dress. I get on live sometimes and I get men hopping on there, putting comments that I just make me go, ugh, block. Did you really just? And I know I don't put that in the atmosphere, which tells me, even though I'm not showing everything I have to offer, I don't take those kind of pictures. I don't dress that way. Absolutely. Thank you, Sheree. Men are going to be men regardless. My thing is that I just want women to understand that, yes, while you should be appropriate and respect yourself and respect your body, respect how you're putting yourself out there, the idea that we're going to be held responsible for any type of inappropriate behavior coming from men, at some point, we have to realize women are not responsible. As if she's appropriately dressed, if she's not winking and drooling all in the man's face and shaking it for him and doing all this crazy stuff, she cannot be held accountable for the lack of discipline and the lack of respect and the lack of the lack of manners that men carry. Men are going to be men regardless. Like I said, and like Miss Sheree said, some of y'all have seen men holler at you when you with your man. So even having a man is not a deterrent for some of these men. They don't care. They trying to be your side piece. So it's like, at some point we have to say, she's representing herself well. He's just a man that needs to be checked about his behavior. We can't hold women accountable for every little thing. Are there some times when women should be held accountable because they're too seductive and too provocative and too their advances are too sexualized? Absolutely. But when those things are not there, understand what you're dealing with. Because women can only shrink so far. And the women that are conservative, are modest, are polite, are respectful, are poised and graceful, they didn't ask for that. And they've dimmed their light as much as they possibly could within their own acceptance. But blaming them for the disrespect of some of these men out here is just wrong. And while we should and do teach our daughters to be mindful, we also have to teach them that sometimes it's not your fault. Sometimes you did everything right. Sometimes you had respect for yourself and respect for your children and respect for your husband, and this fool over here didn't care. And because if we teach our daughters that all attention that we get is our fault, we are unconsciously teaching our babies to dim their light as a result of public opinion. And we are people too. We are entitled to express ourselves within our desire. We are entitled to our autonomy. We're entitled to respect ourselves within context, whatever that looks like for the individual. And some of that will not be a reflection of everyone else around her. Some of that will be a reflection of her. And that has to be accepted as well. I know it's a hard conversation and people want to skew it that if you have a problem with this, then it means that you want the attention. No, it's just women understand that it's not going anywhere and we have to live in it regardless. So we have to find our happiness in it regardless. We have to find our sanity, our self-respect, our confidence in that same world. Regardless of anybody's opinion, women still have to figure out who they are and live in that space, even with all these projections that most of them have not been inherited due to their own behavior, but due to the thoughts of everybody on the outside. Women still have to figure out a way how to exist there and be content and be happy. So that doesn't mean that we don't have a conversation about her experience, because that needs to be understood too, not just the impression that it creates for everybody else. We need to have a conversation about her experience and how she perceives her own experience, because it is about her experience as well, not just everyone else's perception of what's going on, but what's actually going on for her in real time. And I think that, to me, this conversation was really important because I had a conversation with a client and it just really it brought up so many thoughts for me and just my own personal past with accusations and projections of attention seeking, when it was never even on my mind, but that's who I was being told that I was. And it's so offensive and it's so intrusive. And it's just like, a person can think you're pretty, find you attractive, and they will build all these character flaws for you. You're trying to do this. You want attention. You just want to be seen, all because they think you're pretty. And she didn't build herself. She is composed of her mother and her father. She had no say whatsoever how she would come into this world. And yet she will have to defend that for the rest of her life. That's crazy to me. Men are going to be men regardless. And morals, absolutely. Respect made me, oh wait, hold on. Respect made me leave and will do it again. Voice, absolutely. You guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this information was helpful. My goal is to uplift and empower women, not just for the sake of us telling our truth, but to understand the truth of others. If this information or this live is helpful to you or your baby girls, your sisters, nieces, please share this information with them, because I definitely think this was an important conversation to have. And I love my son dearly, but if I have any more kids, I have to remember that this is a much needed conversation to have with my little girl. And I wish that my mother would have had it with me. You know, she definitely taught me how to be ladylike in every way, but we never discussed that I would still be on the negative end of perception, no matter how hard I tried to be consistent with what she taught me. And I think that that's an important conversation to have, because if you don't understand that truth, your recourse will just be to shrink. I'm obviously doing something wrong, so I need to stop showing up. I have to make myself small. I have to make myself invisible. And it's important to ask the question, why is that necessary to do if you're not even the problem? And so I think that this is an important conversation for us as women to have, because we really need to figure out, how do we represent ourselves well, teach our daughters well, without being to blame for other people's lack of character. Because it seems like so much of society right now is putting the boundaries on how a woman is supposed to show up, but most of them have never been women. And it's important to talk about the importance of these things, because I do believe a lot of it is important, but there's also some of it that's chipping away at the spirit of woman too. You know what I mean? And I feel like even saying that out loud, only women would understand that that's the word may not be control. That might not be the right word to say you're trying to control her, but she's right in using the word because that's what it feels like. It may just be her for her protection, but at what point does she get to decide what's for her good and what isn't? Especially if we've adhered to so many of these adjustments over the years. Again, I don't know if control is the right word. I don't think it is the right word, and I feel like men are having this conversation with women because they hope to protect us from harm in some way. I feel like that's genuine, but I also feel like it comes from a place of not really understanding that, as proud of as we are of the men that surround us, you can't control this as much as you would think that you can. And I think women have accepted that truth, and they're just trying to live within it. And men are perceiving that act of trying to live within it as enjoying it or wanting it, when I think it's just a truth that needs to be accepted and understood, that there will be some men that really don't care how you dressed or what you said or what you didn't say. They're going to behave how they want to behave. They're going to disrespect and infiltrate and cross boundaries according to how they want to show up. It has very little to do with what you've done and who you are. And I think women understand that truth. And I think men refuse to accept that there are other male counterparts that really don't care about all the effort we've put into trying to appear like we don't want that kind of attention. Again, because there are some males that believe we're not people, but just things, toys, something to possess, something to control. And I think women that are rebelling against that, not wanting to be protected, but wanting to be understood that no matter how far you shrink us, the experience when it comes to the male gender will be the same. Because to a lot of men, we're not equal, we're not partners, we're not teammates, we're tools, we're resources, we're breeders. You see what I'm saying? And so it's like you can't expect that mindset to respect conservative, if that's even a word. I don't think I said that right, but to respect being conservative. He won't. It doesn't work that way. And stripping her of what she may call her identity or how she may choose to show up is not the answer. So I think we really need to understand it a little further and conversate about this a little more. You guys enjoy your day. I'm going to read the last of these comments and then I'm out. Thank you, Sheree. We need more righteous women to speak on this subject. Thank you so much for backing that. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Stephanie Bell. It's usually too much ego on both sides. I agree. I definitely agree. But that's the dilemma, trying to reach you all on your level to break you all and us out of it. Absolutely. Still trying to, and I use my voice and stop it. Conservative is a word. Thank you for saying that. I was like, I just kind of fell into that. I've never said conservative a day of my life. I was like, yeah, that don't feel right. Thank you for confirming. But I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I hope this information was useful. We're going to have a lot more conversations like this. That's what this platform is for. I want to have the conversations that nobody else is talking about, not the conversations that everyone else is entertaining, because that's on the surface. I want to get below the surface and go more in depth, because that's where the understanding and the solutions are. And as long as we're perpetuating the narratives that everyone else is discussing, we'll always avoid the real conversation. And I want to have the real conversation because I want things to change going forward. Me either. I had to type it out. Okay, cool. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to try and get more sessions in. I'm going to try and get back online on Monday and try and stick to Monday and Friday. But I will post soon and let you guys know when the next live on the podcast will be. You guys enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.